You say, "Are you ready, Power Girl?"
Are you ready, Power Girl?
I'm ready, Liberty. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's
Let's cowgirl
girl
up.
up.
All right.
Howdy,
I love that intro.
howdy, howdy.
Woohoo.
How you doing today? Boy, it's been a hot minute, right?
Right? Oh, man. It has been quite a ride. I've had a very good time off. Yes, it's been very productive.
I love those times. I know, I get those few months in the beginning, and, we're just here for a chit chat today, everybody. We're going to put a little
Mhm.
information out there, but, we're basically getting on because there's so much going on right now. It's tough to know where to focus.
Ooh.
And, I often come under scrutiny because I'm laser focused. I'm laser focused on the people out there, boots on the ground, putting themselves out there on the front lines, up in these state houses, in these
Yes.
school boards,
Mm.
in these council meetings, and demanding change in this country.
Mhm.
And boy, it's no mistake. And just for so everyone knows, we're behind the avatars today. There's been a lot of problems with the internet going in and out, and we're trying to conserve the bandwidth because it's more important that we present the people to you today. We're going to highlight a few of these people today. As everybody knows, I'm from Colorado. I've been monitoring what's going on here through our wonderful uh, Restored Liberty and Cynthia, who's our state director here, who is kicking ass out there every single day uh, as a freedom fighter and keeping everybody informed all across this state as to what's happening up in our state capital up in Denver. So first of all, I want to commend her. It was a tough season for all these representatives and her up in this state capital. They're on a short break right now. We're going to catch up with a few of them after they've had a chance to catch their breath, but we're going to introduce a few of them here this afternoon because I think it's very, very relevant uh, to present this stuff because this is the kind of stuff that goes overlooked because everybody's so caught up in all of the side stories that are happening. And of course, we're all keeping an eye on the national and international picture. But in the end, we all know this is going to come down to our local communities, what's happening around us personally in each of our individual states. And there's people out there fighting for the American people. And I want to make sure that everybody knows who they are. These are heroes out there in the thick of it on the daily. And Power Girl, you know many too yourself. You've been following this whole Wisconsin story since the very beginning.
Absolutely. Wisconsin, and Liberty, recently we had some real heroes show up here in Humboldt as well. So it's, yeah, people are starting to get hip to the local scene because that is really where it's at. And I'm working on a production right now on the latest city council meeting here, but there's been some really great coverage from Lost Coast Populace. So I pulled that up at the end of what you want to go over there in Colorado. I can show you that there's some, there's some glimmer of hope here in California as well. And then Wisconsin, they're going through it as well. I mean, this is a battle, and it's a battle between good and evil, and it's tooth and tooth, it's neck and neck, and it's just, these, especially these state representatives that show up at the Capitol, like Cynthia, who pray there in the Capitol. I mean, there's just some really powerful things, and it really is neck and neck, Liberty. It really is a fight to the finish to see where America ends up. We do not want to go the direction that it's being led right now. So it's definitely a fascinating story to watch these freedom fighters stand up and stand in the gap for, Americans that really, like you kind of mentioned, Liberty, are just trying to get by. People are just trying to get by. And everything is tanking so hard right now. And you mentioned you wanted to mention media towards the end, and there's just so much going on, and there's just, I don't see a lot of it happening in the media. So that's why we come and do what we're doing, and talk about these stories that nobody else is talking about. And you're bringing some really powerful stories, Liberty.
Well, thank you for that. Listen, when they say right, I look left. That's, just the way I'm conditioned. And, I've tried to find the stories that people are missing that matter. It's that simple. And, it's tough. People think, doing what we do is easy. This is a difficult job to do. All of us fell into it by choice, because we saw that we as individuals needed to take our professional expertise and try and use it for good, and that's what a lot of us are trying to do. So this is uncharted territory for a lot of us, but yet we're out here putting our personal selves forth. And that's why, at times we do have to take a break. We're getting shot to hell up here on this digital battlefield. Those of us who have been out here for 2 and 3 years, it's tough, but yet we warrior on, because we know we have to. And every now and again, we have to step back, take a breath, get rejuvenated, uh, hit our prayer warriors, and we get back at it again. And that's where we're at today. And these people that I want to highlight, they're taking a break right now. They have been up there on the daily at the state house up here in Denver, fighting on behalf of all Coloradoans, everybody across this state who is being held hostage, uh, by what we all know is nothing but corruption surrounding us at every turn. And, listen, I just saw a special somebody else there this morning on Miss Tina Peters. We all know her story. She's out there, uh, uh, you know, fighting for the same cause that everybody else is, and running for office also. And these people are up there, they're in office. And I just want to show you, and we're going to see firsthand here, uh, some of what they go through on a daily basis, because this is just Colorado as the example. It happens the same way in California. It happens the same way in Wisconsin. It happens the same way in Florida and Montana, or where Washington, wherever you're from. And by the way, let me just pause for a minute. Good afternoon and welcome, Miss Shimko. We're happy to have you here today. Thank you for coming, dear. We so
Yeah, speaking of
appreciate you.
prayer warriors,
She's our biggest prayer warrior
she
everywhere.
is our
I love
biggest and
her.
most faithful.
Yes, good afternoon to you, madam. Uh, but these people put themselves out there, and we know that it's very dangerous to do this. There are a lot of people out there that are keyboard warriors that sit behind their keyboard on Telegram all day long and think they know it all. But they don't know nothing until they've stepped into the shoes of some of these people who are actually walking in their boots up to the Capitol and into these hearing rooms every day, and actually battling against this stuff and questioning these bills that are passing before our very eyes, while everybody is busy getting offended over who has more followers than the other. So, with that being said, I want to show you. We have what they call a scorecard out there, and there's one in every state. And if Power Girl, what do I need to do here to uh, uh, have you share the screen here with number one and put up our Colorado scorecard?
One second, I'm pulling it up. I pulled it up, but now I have to pull up I want to make sure I pull up the sound. So one sec. Oop.
We're going to see firsthand these brave people in action and the calls to action that they're all putting out over social media. This is a new day and age, trying to get the message out to the people after they've been up there all day long, testifying all day long, battling these people in person. They go home, get on social media, and then they're still working for the people, trying to spread the word. This is almost a 24/7 fight for most of these people. And, again, I take my hat off to them and want to highlight them because these are the people that are the new celebrities and heroes of this country, as far as I'm concerned.
They really are. They're superheroes, and they're unsung heroes because the media is not covering what's happening. They keep everyone so distracted. I mean, the fact that we're talking about the debt ceiling is ridiculous. There's just some of this. It just they get that. Listen, getting a little excited because these freedom fighters, this is the service that we provide. I see it as air cover because they are not getting coverage. People are not hearing their story. Not only are they I don't even think most people even know these bad bills that are coming down the pipe and how dangerous they are. We're already suffering the consequences of that here in California because our voting system has become so corrupt that there everything is just selected. That's what it feels like anyway. That's my opinion, that's what I've seen. And of course nobody's even investigating voter fraud in California, it seems. So it's just business as usual, and it's not good for the American, the common American person. And like I said, most people are just trying to survive right now with the cost and inflation and everything going so sky high. They can't even see this coming. So the fact that these warriors are in the field fighting against these bills, fighting against some really vicious people and some almost like unhinged. I've seen some video footage over the last couple days of what's happening, maybe not in Colorado, but in other states. Because like you said, Liberty, it's happening everywhere. These brave people are stepping up and they're not getting the coverage. Nobody is talking about it. Everybody's talking about the theater, but nobody's talking about the actual boots on the ground, like you say, Liberty. So it is a service that you bring these stories, especially as up and close and personal as you deliver them. You really get to know these people behind the scenes. You really care for them. You care for their stories. You care for their fight. And I see it because you care for your state, as so do I. And I feel the same way about my freedom fighters here in California, not just in Northern California, but also in Southern California, where they're really leading the way. Northern California is stepping up. I've got, great things to report on that I'm working on, but we're finally here in California. But, like I said, those bills have been passed. The bills here in California were reaping the havoc, really is what it is, of what they've done to our legal system. I'm on multiple fronts. So yeah, let's before without any further ado, if you see that down there in your in your queue there, Liberty, I've pulled it up. If you want to share the screen, I believe. There you go. So tell me about this scorecard.
Okay, so it's really tough to lead her, but what we have here is our state representative, Miss Stephanie Luck. She's a Republican representing Chaffee, Custer, and Fremont, Pueblo, and Teller counties here. She achieved the top score in 2023 with the Liberty scorecard with a 93. Now, her along with the first term Representative Ken DeGraff of El Paso County, where I'm in. We're the only A-rated legislators after the 2023 sessions. And then, of course, we have coming up behind them uh, Representative Scott Bottoms of El Paso County, where I'm also at. And he's been on Liberty Warrior, and I think he's scheduled to go on again. And I intend to have him on my show as well, along with Senator Kevin Van Winkle of Douglas County. Uh, you know, also got high score. And, you know, some of these people are first term coming out, some are second term. Again, good people, good people trying to replace these terrible people. We see this right here where Scott Bottoms has a town hall meeting coming up right here in my hometown, and I'm hoping to get over there. I do have something conflicting right now that I'm trying to rearrange so I can make it to that event. We'll see what happens, but I'm definitely going to have him on the show. But these are people that were out there, and they're A-rated, man. I mean, when you want to talk about integrity and respect, these are people that are attached to, again, this is why we embrace and we promote restoreliberty.org. These are people that are endorsed by their organization. We all talk about vetting people. These are our people. They're not, people out there broadcasting with 4 million, 5 million viewers. No, these are the people. These are the people that are trying to take control. These are the people that are out there trying to unseat the bad folks that are currently in office. And let's call them what they are. They're the deep state, for Christ's sake. These are the people that are trying to take over so that the people can take control back. Um, so, I just wanted to show that scorecard out there. But if you want to bring up number two, we know they put out calls to action when they're getting ready to pass these bills. Okay, they put out calls to action like this one here from Mr. DeGraff here, where they plead with people over social media. Listen, this is what's happening up in the State House. These are these 150 some odd pages bills that they pass that change our lives in a very big way that nobody's paying attention to. Please, people in Colorado, get involved. Look at this, read this. This is going to affect you. Your property taxes could go up in some of these cases. There's many bills up there. And again, I want to get them all in, and I want Cynthia to come back and recap it all for us. She's been up there on the daily. She's one of the biggest heroes I know of this whole town. Uh, because she's up there on the daily keeping track of this stuff, and it's a lot to keep track of, mind you. Where they're passing these laws that affect whether a child 18-year-old is going to be able to buy a firearm coming up. And we have, that's concerning when we have a bunch of illegals coming into this country and young kids and things going on. Again, access to this kind of stuff that we see happening. Um, and then they put calls to action when they need people to get up there and testify. Again, I think I just said this on another show. I forget where I was at, but sometimes on some of these bills, nobody shows up to testify, and they're able to do it quite easily and achieve their agenda by doing so. Other times, there's 500 plus people up there to testify. So, they put out calls to action for this, and these are examples of just things that I'm saying and this is the proof of action being taken in that very regard, calls to action being sent over social media. Uh, we also have here, uh, let's bring up number 5, because this is what's also happening up there. As they're up there and they're battling all these bills, uh, let's just take a look and watch what happened here. They're fighting an endless battle like they are in California, like they are in New York, like they are in Chicago, like they are in Denver. Right here. Here's an example. We see this up in the House at the national level. This is a walkout right here happening. They're getting nowhere. Did you hear that? They're sick of it. They're sick of it.
Joke with a joke. This is not democracy. Communism.
These are Colorado lawmakers, ladies and gentlemen.
That's unreal. Wow.
This is what these poor people are going through on the daily up there. People don't understand. Walk a day in their shoes. These are our heroes of the future. These are the people out there that are trying to take our communities back for us. They should be covered. There should be media coverage all over these people, but there isn't.
Nope.
So,
Nope.
if our purpose is to do anything, Power Girl, you're on the same page with me. I know it. It's to get these stories out. These are the people
Yes.
we need to be paying attention to. And they're in every state across this country, not just Colorado, not just Nevada, not just California, not just New York. They're all over. These battles are going on everywhere.
And we need to give them our support, not just the air support, but also to show up. I felt really, really bad that this incredible city council meeting, that happened in Humboldt County here, a bunch of people showed up. It was really impressive. I'm not going to play the video. I don't know how you feel about that because kind of last minute, but it's I would definitely take a look at this here on Lost Coast Populace, because this is a real sign of the times. James Graham, who really I see is the leader of the movement here in Humboldt County. He and a couple of his hardened, you know, patriots that show up and speak against what's going on here. I mean, I can tell you what they're trying to get away with here in Eureka is just mind-boggling, and they're getting away with it, and it's because people are not paying attention. They're
No,
not
I
getting
absolutely,
the
yeah, I
coverage. People don't
absolutely
even
want you to
realize this
show
is
it.
happening.
Yeah, I absolutely want you to show it because this is exactly what's happening. And before you hit that play button, let's remind people you guys are down there battling this week. Listen, we've been keeping track of what's going on in Eureka, Humboldt County, and all the areas through all of you brave people down there. Power Girl, that's how you and I came to know one another.
Mhm.
And they're still at it. You guys are fighting these drag shows that are going on in all of our cities right in your backyard. And yet there's still people who sit out there behind their keyboards or sitting on their sofa saying, oh, y'all are crazy. This stuff is not taking place. Bull crap. It's happening right in front of our face. And this is a fine example of how it's done. Go ahead and roll the
Yeah,
footage.
this is definitely a Trojan horse. It's presented as innocent and art and even part of history, but the reality of it is that some of this stuff, especially here in Eureka that's being displayed, that's what I'm speaking to because this is my local area. This is my local fight. And I've been limited on what I can do because of my own freedom, individual freedom fight. So it's, we are fighting on so many different fronts, and so it was really heartening for me being out of town. I hated not being there to support them in person, but I'm supporting them now because Donnie Creekmore there with Lost Coast Populace is doing an incredible job of covering these stories, and it was a heck of a story to cover because we really got some people to show up. And I'll play just a couple so that you can get a feel for what was uncovered by these concerned citizens. And the people that are bringing up the extremism angle really wanted to make sure that we communicated this from a neutral point of view, meaning that we're not taking sides one way or the other. We're just stating the facts. And so I assured her that we were just going to focus on the truth of what they've uncovered. But it's really quite, I would say, guys, I'm going to venture a guess that this isn't just happening in Humboldt County, that this is actually happening all over the United States right now. And what they've uncovered here in Humboldt County is really groundbreaking, because I never saw it, even as deep in the fight as I was. I never saw this angle coming. So without any further ado, I'm going to play a little bit of it. I think it's probably the first two people. I'm playing it blind. I haven't watched this video yet, so I'm really grateful that we got time to look at this. So let's check it out.
Hey, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I think this might be a little tall. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Mayor, Council, I'm sure you recall the last City Council meeting when you and the council were asked if you had reviewed and signed the Code of Ethics. Only the mayor gestured she had. How about the rest of you, Council? Originally, that's what I thought I would be here today to speak about. However, I now suspect that it's not laziness that's prevented the code from being reviewed annually, it's flat out refusal. This language in the Code of Ethics is standard in politics, and much of this language is found in the League of California Cities, your role as a local elected official document. The League of California Cities represents 99% of the cities in California, and Eureka is included, Miles. This means you're required and expected to follow these terms by joining the council. To be an ethical public official at bare minimum requires transparency. You should serve with honesty and integrity and at the service of the people who put you in the very seat that you sit. It is your duty to remain open-minded on positions of others and to work collaboratively with others to serve the community, not your hidden agendas. I thought I'd be here today to speak largely about the various ethical violations and conflicts of interest surrounding Leslie Castellano and the Inc. people. The Inc. people who are largely funded by the city of Eureka, the city that has numerous positions filled with Inc. people who've been voting on the very funding to be given to the Inc. people, lining their own pockets and agendas. This is not only morally wrong, it's illegal on a state and federal level and for good reason. When we asked the mayor to investigate these conflicts, we were met with silence. In our search for transparency from these elected officials, we've discovered something more dire than the greed of one deceptive nonprofit. This brings me to a serious question. Leslie, Katie, Mario, are you supporting an anarchist agenda? Are you anarchists? Anarchism is a belief that core institutions like government, laws, police, or any other authority should be overthrown using violence if necessary. Your community members deserve to know if their vote is going toward domestic terrorism and to know if your reason for being part of our local government is to dismantle it. Think People support and houses their own Dreammaker project, the Rhizome Info Shop, created specifically for the anarchist agenda. Its intent is to teach people how to systematically infiltrate our community with this agenda. We have proof, and I say we because I'm not alone in this knowledge. The definition of a rhizome in the plant world is a stem that grows underground horizontally just below the soil's surface. It has nodes to put out other stems, meaning what looks like several individual plants may be shoots of the same plant put up by the same rhizome. This is the method of the info shop, to appear separate to the public eye while working on their connected underground agenda. In fact, our councilperson G. Mario Fernandez is an author and organizer for HGR, Humboldt Grassroots. The description of HGR's Twitter page is an anarchist organization founded in Eureka in 2007, where participants in many movements. This group exists to fight for anarchism. The Inc. people, which Leslie Castellano is executive director for, house HGR, who show support for violent riots on their social media. We urge the community to look at the facts. Do not assume because we live in this rural area that riots like we've seen in Portland won't happen here. Politically motivated acts of violence aren't some new phenomenon, and if we don't pay attention, it'll happen in our Humboldt County. Let the people decide what they want to support instead of trying to hide under the guise of donating to arts and culture. While there are some honest and moral and unknowing dream makers involved, scratch the surface and what do you find with the Inc. people? An anarchist political agenda. Conservative, liberal, the right and the left wing belong to the same bird. Bring it back to the middle.
Participating. We appreciate you
And
being
answer
here.
our questions and be transparent.
Appreciate you being here.
So before we go to the next guy, I just want to point out these people have uncovered. Can we just highlight what's happening here?
Yes.
This is wild. These people have uncovered anarchists in the government. So is that, I mean, I cannot even think of a more blatant conflict of interest, more in your face. Anarchists do not believe in government. They want to overthrow the government, like she said, from their own words, by all means necessary, which includes violence. And these are the people that are in government. So, I mean, I have been stating all along that these people are working illegally, and I have my own proof of that, which I'm not going to go over in the media because I'm still retaining it as evidence. But this is just mind-boggling that this has been uncovered. They're so exposed. And this all came from, it's getting so ridiculous here in Humboldt, so ridiculous here in Eureka. And I have to say, it's the drag queens are just the biggest red flag that are starting to bring people out and being curious as to what's actually going on. And these are they're not even citizen journalists, Liberty. They're just concerned citizens that have uncovered this because it's so in their face. I mean, this is part of their branding, this Inc. people, which goes really, really deep, and we're not going to get into that. But first of all, I just want to applaud these folks that showed up in the first place, but truly a standing ovation for discovering that they are by their own words, anarchists. That is wild. What do you think, Liberty?
Well, listen, like I told you, all these people are heroes, whether they're in Eureka, y'all. I know your whole group down there. I admire you all so much. We've been watching this live happening for the last 2 years. I applaud all the people in Colorado. I applaud all the people in Wisconsin. There are American people standing up all over this country, and that's why and we'll get into the media here when we get done talking about these meetings. But why I get so annoyed at some of these broadcasters out there that can't get focused, because this is the stuff that matters. And this is where my focus is right here. This is where your focus is right here. These people sit behind in those chairs, with the United States flag behind them. They let Americans go up and testify. And first of all, the first law that needs to be changed nationally all over the place is the public needs more than 2 minutes to speak at a meeting over serious situations. It's ridiculous how they time people out to 2 minutes to present such important issues that are put before them. That in itself is just ridiculous. So I'd like to see a national bill put through on that. But I digress. Let me get back on track. They look at you like you're crazy. They sit there, they know what you're saying is true, and not one of them even say, you know what? We'll look into that. You might have something there. They just dismiss you. And that's what's infuriating.
Exactly. That's what's making the Republican caucus walk out, because they just completely wipe. It's gaslighting. They just pretend they live in their own reality, and in that reality, that's the way things are. And up is down, and down is up. And how can you reason with people like that? So yeah, it's unbelievable, what they're getting away with. And what's the remedy, Liberty? That's the thing. I mean, we fight in the city council meetings, we fight in the school board meetings, we fight even at Capitol Hill, but at the end of the day, it seems like they do whatever they want to do, and regardless. And when the Republican caucus is walking out, that's a sad state, because who's going to face them off then if that's the case? I don't know. That's why, part of the reason why I really believe in assembling the states. I feel like this government is completely off the rails. And here in Humboldt County, this is why I pointed out, is because we are a cautionary tale. It's going to happen here in California, like you, Liberty. It's going to happen in Colorado. For states that might not be on that, in that deep blue territory, they might not understand how dire it's getting. And that's why we need to tell these stories, because I think he said there were three. I think the majority sitting on this council that we're looking at here, if I hear him correctly, and we'll listen to this last guy just to confirm, but I think what they're saying is the majority of the city council here in Eureka, California, are anarchists. If that isn't a blatant conflict of interest, and how many other states, how many other counties is that happening in? This is just, these are just people that have uncovered it, because what it's pointing to is a concerted effort. That's all I'm saying, is that these people do have an agenda, and I'm gonna dive into that, as I balance everything else. But I want to dive into this, because after everybody left, the really important stuff came out. And I think it kind of went under the radar for the folks that showed up that night, that they should have stuck around, because what they talked about afterwards was even more alarming. And I started to understand why the theatrics, why all of the the drag queen stuff, is because they're trying to distract us from what they're actually doing, which is they're rolling out these corrective action programs all over the country. And I'm telling you, the more I see it, what they're doing, and Deborah Traveris warned us of this back in 2017. But now it's being rolled out, and I'm seeing it happen on a mainstream level, and in my own city here, my own county, and it's frightening, because it is the globalist agenda.
Well, you're absolutely right on the money. And, we're all seeing that the problem is right now. And listen, let's watch the end of this film because we're going to move into how this actually relates to media
Yes, let's
and
do
what
that.
is going on here. But let's watch this because anyone who's been watching Power Girl Productions and, Lost Coast Populace and all these, you all have aired many a meetings like this. We see it firsthand. And yet, what has actually come of it? These people are compromised. All they do is go through the motions. Nothing comes of it. You can serve them with
No, they're
80
total
affidavits.
criminals.
You can serve them with 80 affidavits and it don't mean
No.
anything to them. It does not mean a hell bit of good. So let's get to the remedy because that's the problem with the entire country right now is everybody's wondering where the hell the remedy is for all of
Exactly.
this.
What's the remedy for all this?
But
So
let's watch his testimony because these are brave people doing
they
what
are,
they're supposed
and
to be doing.
he goes into a little bit more detail, which opens it up a little bit with this, anarchist angle, which, again, this could be a way to take them down. Once they've shown organization and especially surreptitious organization, come on, that is just how many red flags do you need? But anyway, okay, I digress. Here we go.
Hi,
Right?
Mr.
In
Gomez.
2003, I opened my first retail business in Eureka called The Fertile World. Within 5 years, we had additional locations in Fortuna, Arcata, and San Rafael. Over the 20 years, I've established 5 businesses in the city of Eureka and have employed hundreds of people. I've contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years to the coffers of the city through property taxes, sale tax, cannabis permitting fees, and other taxes. Miles, Mayor, the good people of the city of Eureka and the taxpayers of the city of Eureka deserve to know what the hell is going on and who our money is funding and what their true agenda is. I didn't just move here 6 years ago to infiltrate the school board and our city council, Mr. Mario Fernandez. I actually have children in our local schools. Councilmember Mario Fernandez is also an author and organizer for a radical and violent anarchist organization that publishes a newspaper called Humboldt Grassroots. This violent organization has been supported, funded, organized, housed, and incubated directly by the Inc. people who Leslie Castellano is executive director of, who have been supporting a violent anarchist agenda for many years now. The hidden anarchist agenda wants to perpetuate and violent crime and homelessness, drug addiction, and crime in our communities. Councilmember Castellano, Katie Moulton, Texas, and Mario Fernandez are all affiliated and bound by their anarchist agenda and should be recusing themselves when it comes to anything having to do with the safety of our communities, since their true agenda is anarchy. Unfortunately, the mayor and the city manager have allowed them to ignore the code of ethics, which has ultimately led to this infiltration. This council voted to waste $90,000 of taxpayers' money to hire an out-of-town firm to audit EPD. That money could have been used on an annual salary for 2 more police officers to keep the streets safer. There is absolutely nothing ethical about a majority of our council being anarchists, and maybe we're just scratching the surface here. Either way, people who organize, house, finance, and incubate a movement that wants to abolish the police department should not be voting on whether we should be funding the police department. It's a dangerous conflict of interest, Miles. Just this year, Councilmember Castellano and Synapses hosted several Anarcho events to help organize and spread her anarchist agenda under the guise of a Zumba class. The definition of Anarcho is a person who rebels against authority, established order, and from the ruling power, and a person who advocates and promotes anarchy. It's time to go on record and admit that you, Councilmember Castellano, Mario Fernandez, and you, Katie, Texas, are anarchists and incubating and fulfilling an anarchist agenda. The majority vote of this council is dictated by anarchists with no code of ethics to stop them. Let that sink in. I have friends and family who've sacrificed their lives for democratic institutions, and I'll be damned if I allow you to dishonor their service. How do you feel, Scott? Law enforcement? Are you under their flag? Are you under the flag, the democratic flag of the United States of America? It's time to answer questions. Anarchists.
Thank you,
Go to
Mr.
hell.
Boom.
So, friends,
So anyway, there it is. I mean, that's what's happening in Humboldt County right now. I really encourage you go check out the actual video there on Lost Coast Populace, because James and everybody speaks. I mean, it's everybody shows up for this, and it's just really impressive to see, what they're doing. So and like I said, the anarchist thing, I'm telling you, you should, anybody watching who's in Colorado, wherever, whatever state, you should check it out, because I'll bet you there's more than one doing this. That it's, I don't know, that it's just wild that they're that in your face about it, that they're actually running simultaneously while they're in government, running an anarchist grassroots agenda. And also, these are the ink people. Remember, these are the ink people that are so closely tied to the drag queen story hour thing going on here as well. And I'll tell you, they are not innocent in any way, shape, or form. Their drag shows are very explicit. So yeah, it's wild that, you see this. It's really it feels like a cookie cutter. And if that, paint me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but you can see the pattern. I mean, isn't that a legitimate military modus operandi, is to watch patterns and to see, well, there's patterns all over the country. How many patterns do you need? How much before it's no longer coincidence?
Well, you're 100% right on that. And we're all watching the patterns. They're becoming so identifiable that they're easy to see at this juncture.
Mhm.
And, again, I want to note that the gentleman who was brave enough to go up there and testify and present for that meeting down there in Eureka, you can hear the passion in these Americans' voices. They're up there fighting for their communities, heart, soul. They're in it.
Yeah, and this guy's just a business owner. I can't stress enough that when I did speak to the young lady that was the first that I saw, I hunted her down and I talked to her, and it was very, very important to her that she expressed that she doesn't want to be viewed as biased in any way, shape, or form. And when I listened to her speak and to him speak, all I hear are facts. And they're actually, I mean, he did so great with the visuals, kind of similar to what I did when we outed them of the, they literally are soliciting a pornographic website at this drag queen Halloween show that they're saying is for all ages, but they're selling t-shirts with, redwoodpride.com or whatever it was, that was leading you directly to a Chinese porn website, which is still in operation. Miles Slattery, or whatever his name is, still hasn't done anything about that. And that they're all supposed to be mandated reporters, but nobody is reporting the child abuse that is so blatantly happening. The exposure to, what they're exposing these kids to here. It's very real. And it's not just drag queens reading stories to them. It's much more nefarious than that. And we've reported on it at length on Keeper of the Flame Rumble, which we'll continue to report on. We're just taking a break right now, medical break. But, we are covering this story, and I will definitely be doing an in-depth look at this corrective action program, which was convenient. Was thankfully, actually, I was praising Jesus for it, that it came up this same night when we had this incredible showing in Eureka, because of their showing, I sat down and watched the whole city council meeting, and it was what was brought up after everybody left that really gave me pause. So I'm going to be doing a podcast on that. Keep an eye out for that on the Keeper of the Flame. It will take a while for me to produce it, because right now we've got a lot going on over here at
Yes.
Rainbow's End in Humboldt County. But definitely want to dive into these corrective action programs, because if you haven't heard of that, I can tell you, I've been hearing about it as a PG&E employee. This getting to zero has been a thing from the very beginning of my days at PG&E. And so I recognize the vernacular, and it's all about you being the carbon that they want to reduce. And the way they're enforcing some of these things is very diabolical and and frightening. And so, yes, to get around, right back around on the guitar to your original point, Liberty, these people that do show up and fight these bad bills and fight on Capitol Hill and fight it, and it doesn't matter whether they're doing it in Wisconsin or they're doing it in California or they're doing it in Colorado or they're doing it in Montana. They're showing up, and it's so important that we cover these stories. So, let's just break into where you want to go with this media thing, because I can tell you what I think about the media. I think you don't want to hear what I have to say. We might
Well,
get kicked off YouTube. Go ahead, Liberty. You lead it off.
listen, we got two things going on, and again, back to the freedom fighters. We're going to continue to showcase these people before we get into media, and we're going to get them all back on, get an update from them, learn firsthand from them. I like to hear straight from the people what it's like to live in their shoes. I think there's nothing more compelling than a firsthand account. And, we're fortunate enough to get Mr. Daryl Gibbs here in Colorado onto our show, who has previously ran for lieutenant governor. Because, again, back to, wondering, where is the recourse for all of this? What is the remedy? Get these people out of office. We have to have great people to replace them. And that's been, part of the challenge here, with what's been going on. So we're looking forward to having him on. He's, in the fight in a very big way, and he's going to go back at it again. We're also, going to continue on here with our military updates. Right now, we're really busy. I don't put up shows on the daily. I've never been that way, because it takes 4 or 5 days to confirm information that we already have. And we're following a lot of colonels and a lot of generals right now, because if you have been keeping track of what's been going on, we have a lot shaken out in that regard. And there's a lot of active duty people colonels and generals being critical of retired colonels and generals. But, as the picture is being painted, we can see that, we've been infiltrated from within. Some people are guilty of treason. They're still operating at the highest levels of our government in the military. And so I wouldn't place too much emphasis on what they're saying about retired people. Then, we also have some retired people that are involved in this media psyop that's happening. So where we at in media is where we're going with this. But just to give an update, because we're going to end on the media today, I just wanted to read a couple of things, just to let everybody know a couple of things we're tracking militarily. Colonel Sellin, and that would be Dr. Colonel Sellin, retired, who we've been covering and following him and General McInerney and General Vallely with Stand Up America. US. He's out there on the Twitter. These people are tweeting out some very powerful stuff. And, he said, make no mistake, Chinese military and intelligence agents are moving across the U.S. southern border in record numbers, unchallenged and unaccounted for. And they are they're joining existing Chinese fifth column people who have entered via illegal immigration, but have remained loyal to the CCP. And we're going to have a gal on that can talk to us in that regard too. But these are some of the big things that are out there that are being dropped right now. When we get into this media, make no mistake about it, we're in the thick of this information warfare, and it is big, and it is bad, and it is a big beast. They are coming at us from all fronts. And what we see, is, well, we all know that the mainstream media has not been reporting anything that we need to know, and anything they're reporting is already 3 years old. As far as I'm concerned, we're going, oh, they're really coming out and reporting on this. And we've all had evidence of this going around the internet for 2 years. People have been reporting on it. It's been part of the 17th of the letter PSYOP operation. In one regard, because we know, it's known as a PSYOP on the front of it, but we also know that militarily there actually is a 17th letter operation that's legitimate, that's going on. So, everything's been PSYOPed. Everything's been PSYOPed. So what's real and not real? That's out there is what we ask ourselves. And that's why I keep close track of the military, because in the end, when we get down to it, we all can go back in history and in time, and there are those broadcasters that are out there too in the independent realm thinking they're teaching everybody what's going on with the law of war manual, and nobody else but them had the wherewithal to figure this out for the last few years, but they did. And they're going to go out and teach everybody now, uh, where some people have cottoned on to this long ago, knows what the law of war manual is about, have been following the comms because they're smart enough to decipher what's a psyop, what's not a psyop, and see things chugging along. And I say chugging along because in that respect, they're happening at a very slow pace. And, there's reasons for that, as we're all learning, as people get into the dark side of all of this, which is also a component of it, where all of this human trafficking and all of this abuse and all of the dark side of this is now coming into the mainstream space. So again, we're watching it all unfold. uh, we know we've been infiltrated from within. We know there's paid opposition out there in not only in the mainstream media, but we know we're on when they say digital battlefield, listen, people are out here getting slaughtered on the daily, and sometimes it's us. Okay, but yet we keep up and we keep going. That's why it's so disheartening when we see some of these keyboard warriors that claim they're out there doing America's job. It's so disheartening when we see these attacks from within uh, coming at us, because in reality, none of us really has any confirmation of what's going on. We're all just trying to put pieces together and trying to analyze it, trying to go to people who are educated, who are experienced, who can offer us some analysis on the situation based on their experience, to at least try and make more of this make sense. But this is there's a lot of people who are psyoped out there, I guess, is my point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we didn't even mention, I mean, the censorship, that's one of the reasons one of the biggest the tip of the hat when happened to me when I got wiped off of YouTube. Wasn't surprised at all, and really wasn't very heartbroken about it, because as you well know, Liberty, we've been building very much on Rumble. um I personally am grateful for an opportunity to get off of YouTube altogether, because I don't think that we should be supporting, I mean, we want to get the voice out there, and we are building, but it's hard to want to support these companies that are censoring, because there are lives on the line. This is part of the plea that kind of put Kennedy on the radar, right? When he was pleading to the media that they are really the only buffer between the American people and a corrupt government, and they're bought out. I mean, it's so obvious you're not getting the news that you need, and look what we've seen. The consequences have been very, very high over the last few years. And listen, this is something I definitely want to touch on before we get, because I know we're getting close to the hour. Again, just putting it out there, guys, there's so many things that are happening right now that the media is not covering, and one of them is the collapse of the dollar. And that is something that, I mean, Gary and I are watching, documentaries on the depression, because we want to get ready. Like, we are bracing for impact, because the impact is coming unlike any other, you know, what do you call it, hairbringer before this. As countries move away, look, is it Saudi Arabia that moved away from the dollar recently? As these countries move away from the dollar, the petrodollar that really didn't have a whole lot holding it up to begin with, it's inevitable. It's going to be long. It's going to be drawn out, but we got to get ready. We got to get ready for that. And that's what, we've got to focus on what's happening in our local fight. And we need to focus on, frankly, what's happening in our backyard. We need to do the best we can to grow food. I mean, there are a lot of foods out there that are really, really easy to grow, and it would be a great place to start. And if you haven't started yet, I would really encourage you to do that, because we're going to need that. That seems to be, whether or not people are going to make it is if they can, because there's so much going on right now. And that's something that I want to touch on because the media is not touching on it. The fact that they're talking about the debt ceiling to me is the most clown world thing, and so exposes them for the psyop that they are, because the debt ceiling means nothing if the dollar means nothing. And as countries move away from the dollar, um that's inevitable. I don't see how, again, it's been a bubble all along, but it's about to pop, and y'all better get ready is all I'm going to say. Grab yourself a conspiracy theorist and figure out how to grow potatoes, because you're going to need it.
Well, and that's part of the battle that we have going on is, in my opinion, the use of these slang terms that are out there. And I'm trying my best to stay away from them, because we all know there are no conspiracies anymore. All this stuff has come to pass, so we need to just throw that word out completely. And then they go on with all of these uh, slang words. Oh, safe space. Come over here. It's a safe space. You know what? E- Every inch of land in this country and around the world should be a safe space, for crying out loud. Let's stop with the safe space crap. Let's make it all safe space. But what we see
But
here,
that's been my argument, Liberty, is that I've seen people moving tables on the Titanic, moving chairs on the Titanic, moving from one state to another state to another state. There's no safe place to run. There is no safe space. We're all going to experience it when the dollar collapses. There'll be no place to run.
right?
So,
And we see this again in totality, the big picture.
yeah, and we're
Uh,
getting no leadership.
un, no leadership, unconventional warfare at its finest, information warfare at its strongest, bio warfare like we've never seen it before, lawfare, what they're calling lawfare, because they are using the law against people that are speaking out. Okay. So, this is an open war. And, some would call what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, and that's a whole nother broadcast here. We're not even going to get up in that. But, but the fact that it's really a war of attrition that's going on over there right now. We're going to define what that is on a different episode. But all of this is relevant to the financial collapse that we're seeing in front of our eyes. And, we've been around in a circle with this debt ceiling before. They'll go to the 11th hour. They'll get the whole country built up. They'll put all the media on it, so everybody's broadcasting the hearings. And they'll go back and forth. Do we have a deal? Don't we have a deal? Oh, in the end, we found a deal, America. So again, a way to get distract people from what's actually going on and how they're actually changing the laws right up here in each of our state houses. But on the financial front, we're hearing that JP Morgan is actually freezing bank accounts in red states because they don't have the liquidity. So we see in our banking and our finance and our political realm and our business realm in our law and in our government, all these players are being forced out into the open. So where they're all going to scramble to and how this is all going to play out is anybody's guess. But I expect that they'll keep us going through the summer, yet again, without any action being taken. And that's why everybody is fed up with media right now, because everybody is regurgitating the same information over and over again. It sounds like a broken record, and still no resolve, nobody being arrested, nobody being held accountable. But wait, here comes an event that's supposed to happen here. Here comes an event that's supposed to happen there. Oh, but wait, let's hold on to your hats because Nasara Jasara is about to happen. And we hear that Tier 4 is being funded for the last 2 years. These people are in a trance. Maybe the staff will be called in this weekend to dish everybody's money out on Monday. What did we just have? Something else was supposed to happen on the 21st 21st, 22nd. They had everybody scrambling to buy, you know, their coins or whatever they're selling. And, we're a week after that date already, still nothing happening. So be careful where you get your information from. That's all we can continue to do. What I know we're going to continue to do, and I want you to give an update on where people can find you and what your plan is for the future. Is we're going to continue to report on all the freedom fighters that are out there in the state houses, continue to highlight these bills that are being passed in our own backyards that are affecting us on the daily. And we're going to continue to call people out that are taking down freedom fighters, because that's come to an end too. Enough are the days where I'm going to sit back and be quiet about all these keyboard warriors that are out there ripping people down for valid information. Enough is enough already. It's time to flip the script on that, and we're going to keep reporting on that. Again, there's going to be life after this for me, for my channel, for my network. We're a country lifestyle living uh, brand identity, and that's what we're going to stick with. This freedom fighting came as a result of launching this Hug Your Flag for Peace and Unity campaign, which we're going to keep rolling with the little engine that could, and we're going to keep bringing people and real people, real emotion, and real information to the table. And that's all I can do as a citizen. That's all we can do, and I'm so glad to have your support, Power Girl. You've been there along with me since day one, and I'm so happy that you're behind the scenes with me, and I owe you so much thanks for helping me produce my show and helping me produce shows in the future. So, onward, forward. We're just gonna, you know, country up and keep it rolling.
Absolutely. That's what we're doing over here. I mean, we're digging in the dirt. We're still farming and fighting the deep state. It's the long game for Power Girl because I'm just stacking those documents. I'm just stacking those receipts. God's got me in a very unique position. He's poured a lot of resources into this particular fight. So it's a fight that I fight almost by myself. I've recently got some help, thanks to the grace of God, and He really is coming through in really, really, really big ways. And I'm just not broadcasting it right now because we know that not just friends listen, so we want to make sure that we're keeping our cards close, but we're still in the fight. And even though it might not look like it, and that is the truth of my story all along, because I have been playing the long game, but I'm going to continue to do it nice and slow, just the way I've always done it. I'm going to count on His perfect timing, and it is paying off big time lately. So definitely good things coming down the pipe. Right now the story is building, so we're going to let that story build, and in the meantime we're digging in the dirt and just trying to get healthy because this last go round really knocked me out. So always very, very appreciative of friends. Liberty, you've been such a good friend and, partner through this whole thing. You've been so understanding. You've been able to hear my words. It's so important for someone who is dealing with the challenges that I deal with. And I'm just so grateful. So, it was great that you invited me on because I probably wouldn't be on. I'm going to be away for those who are listening, who are interested in what Power Girl is doing. I will always be publishing on my Telegram channel. If you want to see the news that I am watching, check out my Telegram channel. I always put in the really interesting stories that I find there. I'm going to take a step back from producing right now. I do have that video I want to do for Humboldt County, and I will be doing that, but I won't be doing much more than that right now because I'm really focusing on my medical situation because I've finally made some breakthrough there. So I'm going to focus on that for now because a well Power Girl is what we want. I want to be 100% for you guys, and I want to make sure I take care of myself to do that. And I would encourage anybody out there who's listening that you do the same. It's so important. The fight is important, and it's important that we stay in the fight. But in order for us to stay, especially for those of us that are in those long battles that just last literally for years, we have to allow each other to take those breaks. We need to have grace for each other and not just talk about it, but actually have grace for each other. And, like I've been saying lately on my Facebook page, if I've stepped back or stepped away from you, it might not have to do anything to do with you. It might just have to do with where I'm at. There's only so much that I can balance right now, and that's one of the reasons why I'm stepping back. You can't flow from an empty cup. So that's why I'm filling up my cup right now. And he really is. Let me tell you, for those of the prayer warriors that have been out there praying for Power Girl, your prayers are coming true in very, very, very big ways. And I can't wait to tell you all about it. It's just still baking right now. So we're just going to sit and we're going to, wait for this to come to full fruition and fully manifest, because he is truly, truly, prophecies being fulfilled, promises are being kept. The way is being made and big things are on the horizon. And, I really, Liberty, see you as a huge part of all of that. So I just am so grateful for your constant friendship and your constant wisdom and guidance and just understanding and being able to understand where I'm at and give me the space, because that's really all I need, is just a little bit of space so that God can work into my life. Because most of what I do is resting and taking care of myself. Really, God does the heavy lifting. So, and that's why this story is going to be so profound when it finally does come out. But we've taken a bit of a break because it's starting to really get good, guys. Prayers are getting answered. He's making a way. He's doing things. He is manifesting his plan and his purpose in Power Girl's life. So stay tuned for that.
Amen. And I'm glad to hear it. And for anyone who missed that fantastic interview from Amber May with Power Girl, I encourage you to go back and to view that. We never really know what people's stories are until you hear them tell it. So if I were to give any advice to anybody, it would be careful about judging people. That's all through this process. We all need to stay hand in hand. I started the peace and unity movement from day one. I'm going to stay the course, even though sometimes that gets very difficult these days. But we're good in everything that we do, and we want good for everyone else, and we support everyone we can. And I think we cover a lot of bases. We do a lot behind the scenes. That's why we don't spend a lot of time in front of the camera, because we're actually behind the scenes working to try and affect things that actually affect our lives, and we're going to stay the course with that. And I know you've been one of the first people to get onto the peace and unity train, Power Girl. So I thank you for that. I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for your support. I know that although you're not in front of the camera right now, you're a big presence behind the camera. And I thank you for all your assistance to Liberty Cowgirl Network in that respect. We want to remind everybody that you can see our shows now live on Rumble. You can follow us on Getter. We just launched on Brighteon. We do have some tech issues over there right now, and we've been working with their tech people for a week. So hopefully we'll get those figured out. We'll be able to load up the rest of our shows over there, but we've been received real well. We're still on True Social, and of course, shout out to all my Getter people who keep track of Liberty Cowgirl on the daily over at Getter. It's, listen, we're not as big as everybody else. We're a small little engine that could, but for the 1,500 to 2,000 people that we touch with all of our platforms per every broadcast, that we do in the end. We're happy for the support of those people. They matter. We matter to them. And we want to continue to provide the highest quality and, and just ethics in the way that we conduct our business over here, and the stories that we put out and the information that we put out to the people. So, we're just going to stay on that horse and keep riding till we get to the finish line. But I want to thank you for coming on with me today, Power Girl. And we're looking forward to the future with great enthusiasm. That's for sure. Any final words?
Just again, thanks for everybody for the support. Thanks for showing up today. Keep showing up. for Liberty Cowgirl Network. Keep an eye out for Keeper the Flame. And just thanks to everybody for the prayers, really, mostly because it is really, truly coming to fruition. And I'm just almost in tears every day because I'm just so grateful for how much God is moving right now in my life. So thanks you to everybody who's been praying for me. It's finally coming to fruition. He's moving in a really big way. So thank you for all of that. And we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Well, in your honor, we have to end the show with this. When you sit down with warriors, it's a different conversation. See y'all on the next one.